What is up, folks? Greetings and happy Monday. Edwin Yoda, Brunin G, Goody, NPC, lurkers in chat, VOD viewers, and everybody else, welcome. Hope you're all doing well. I'm doing okay myself. I am preparing in various ways for the end of the year, the holidays, and all that comes with that. I'm doing my last week of work this week before the end of the year for a brief, short, little bit of vacation for a couple of days, which I'm greatly looking forward to. Still have some stuff to wrap up though, so it's not exactly like you're still work is still progressing at full pace. But let's not dwell on that. We are here tonight, of course, to continue our journey through the history of James Bond video games. A kind of a, I don't know what to call it. I was about to say a detour. That's not really exactly accurate. We are following up on last time's stream. Last stream was interrupted abruptly when I attempted to play some music, and for some reason unmuting or hitting the play button or whatever I did on my music player just froze my computer in the middle of the stream. And I was like, you know what, fuck it, we're all running late. I just, you know, rebooted my computer and we just ended the stream there. Very unceremonious. But that was in the middle of our cheated run of the Amstrad CPC port of The Spy Who Loved Me, which we were checking out very briefly after having finished the Amiga and Commodore 64 versions. So tonight we are kind of doing the last bit of, I don't know, taking care of unfinished business. We are checking out the rest of the CPC version. Not expecting it to live up to the Amiga version with its incredible ending or anything, but at least we want to see the last couple of levels. Then I did manage to get my hands on the ZX Spectrum version of the game to take a look at that, which I'm sure will be even more unremarkable. But in the, you know, in the name of being thorough and properly documenting the history of Bond games, I think it's worth a look. We will most likely, I mean, we'll see, but after finishing the Amiga version, which we did finish using trainers because the game is like, even with every imaginable cheat enabled, it was still quite a challenge, especially getting the second loop, which we did. I was halfway through the game after beating it once when it dawned on me that, hey, wait, I guess maybe it's actually more difficult now. But we got there in the end. We finished the second loop, got the good ending, which was definitely worth the effort. And after that, we had already spent a lot of time and energy. So I didn't necessarily have the time nor inclination to really go through I don't know, the rigmarole of trying to clear the other versions legitimately. I want to say the C64 version we actually did, because I think I enabled one cheat for infinite money, but I didn't enable any other cheats, but that cheat still didn't end up working, so we still had to grind a little bit for Q tokens. And then we finished the Commodore 64 game because the 8-bit versions are like missing half the stages, so it was pretty quick. We did enable all kinds of cheats, and in fact, the CPC version was the one version we played so far that let us be invincible, because that's the toughest thing with the Amiga version. Even though we had infinite lives or infinite money or infinite ammo or whatever else, you never had infinite health, so you could still die really quickly, and once you died, I don't know, it all fell apart. But the CPC version let us be invincible, so that would have been an absolute cakewalk if my stream didn't crash in the middle of it. But all that being said, I reckon tonight we will, like, the last bits of Spy Who Loved Me action should go pretty quickly and hopefully, knock on wood, pretty smoothly and without too much struggles and pains. So we'll see. I definitely have not prepared practically or mentally to jump into the following game tonight, which is, it's just as well because schedule is going to be a little bit disrupted in the coming week. So I think The Spy Who Loved Me will most certainly be the last Bond game before Christmas. And as such, if we finish really early tonight, maybe we'll look at something else. I don't know. I don't have much planned really, but we'll figure it out as we go along. We will, of course, as we get into things, take a closer look at the current and upcoming games, the status of things to come within Games Bond in just a few moments. But while we're still in the kind of just chatting housekeeping segment of the stream, I would be remiss not to bring up the plans that I do have in place for Christmas. If you are on my Discord or follow me on Twitter, you may have already seen this announcement, but I might as well bring it up here on stream. Why not, right? Boom! This right here is the plan for Saturday, December 24th, Christmas Eve. We will be doing a holiday special stream extravaganza of some kind. Of this kind. I have plenty of things planned. We will, of course, be playing some beat-em-up video games. But we'll see how much time we have for that, because there's a lot of other stuff we have to cover. I will be doing some drawing on stream. And it won't be just any kind of drawing. It's going to be pretty special. And I think it's going to be... I hope it's going to be fun. I'm a little bit nervous about it, but I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be something different, something I haven't done before. We will, of course, be opening Christmas presents. I got a whole pile of them already, and I have a few more coming in the mail this week. A few of them hopefully arriving before Saturday, but if not, we still got plenty ready to go. What's up, LCC? We'll be watching some cartoons together. We will be reading some comics together. These are all parts I'm pretty excited about. There's some logistical hurdles to overcome with just setting up the stream setup and everything. But it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. A Christmas stream would not be complete without Christmas dinner, of course. Thankfully, or at least, my inner organs are thanking me, I think, we will not be having a triple jig burger. Although, I mean, that birthday burger, it was pretty fucking good. I should rewatch that segment, just to remind myself what I concocted. In case you have no idea what I'm talking about, for my birthday stream back in September, I made I didn't make I made two. For some godforsaken reason. I made two gigantic, absurdly decadent hamburgers. And they were really good. And I had like one burger. I think I had some fries with it or something as well. And it's like... I was full for like 9 hours or something after that. I had the burger and then like... I think I had the burger for lunch, and then I had scheduled for my stream like a dinner break at 8 or something, and I was like, I'm too full, I can't have dinner. And then at like 10, I had a little bit of birthday cake, and it was like, oh man, I can barely eat any of this cake, and I don't know, it was terrible. But I had like a second burger the day after. It was all good. It was all good. There's no regret. I mean, a little bit maybe, but ultimately no. No fear, no regrets. What's up, soldier? See you. In any case, as great as that was, no room for burgers in a proper traditional Swedish Christmas dinner, which is what we're doing. So I'll be organizing some cooking and some stuff, trying to do as much of it ahead of time as I can. I mean, it's not going to be crazy elaborate, but I mean, if you're here for previous Christmas streams, I think you pretty much know what to expect. So we'll enjoy something to watch together while I eat, so you don't have to watch me eat. But if you're into that, then I don't know, there's probably going to be a bit of that as well. And of course, there's going to be all around chill vibes. That is going to be the main element of this upcoming stream. At least if previous similar streams I've done are any indication, it's going to be a super chill time. It's going to be a lot of fun. So the plan is for me to go live around lunchtime, 1 p.m. CET is what I've said, which is my regular Saturday stream time. Although I've been not been the best at actually keeping that time super strictly, but that's the plan. My hope, as I usually do for these kinds of holiday special event streams, I'm looking to probably go for about 12 hours or so, but we'll see how it goes. I have not yet made any kind of schedule or itinerary or anything like that. I just have these major beats that I know that I want to cover, and we'll see what's a good schedule. I'll try to workshop something by the time we go live, but if not, we'll just wing it. So yeah, there'll be tasty treats. There will be art. There will be games. There will be just chatting. There will be chill vibes. And if you have nothing better to do on Christmas Eve, I would appreciate your company. But if you do have better things to do, no hard feelings, no skin off my back. That's totally fine. It just so happens that I don't have anything better to do. So that's what I'm going to spend my Christmas Eve doing. And I'm looking forward to being somewhere between passed out and hungover following the end of that stream. And I don't know, eating more leftover Christmas food and candy while figuring out if someone else is streaming or something. I don't know. It's going to be fun. So I guess with this coming up, I'm currently, like, I don't have anything, I don't know specifically, but much like last week, it is a possibility that Wednesday's stream could end up being a casualty of much needed planning and preparation. Hopefully, we'll stream as normal on Wednesday, but be advised that it is possible that I may have to cancel Wednesday stream if I find myself with too many chores and Christmas dinner details or anything else piling up. But I'll hopefully know by tomorrow, or at the very latest by Wednesday. And if anything changes, I'll make sure to announce it on Twitter and Discord. But I'm sure Wednesday stream is going to be a casual whatever kind of stream anyway. Like I said, we're not getting into further Bond games or anything just yet. So we'll just chill leading up to Christmas. Anyway, any other housekeeping type stuff? I don't know. I think that's pretty much it. Nothing comes to mind. So with that out of the way, why don't we take a look at some Bond games? We are still on mission number 8. We have completed mission 8, but we're not done. For those in need, let me drop that in chat. You got the link to the official spreadsheet. And I decided I don't have a firm like strategy, a firm rule set for how this works, but I decided to stop the timer at 4 hours 35 minutes 13 seconds, which was the time at which we completed the Amiga version of The Spy Who Loved Me. And we messed around with some other versions, and we are in fact continuing to mess around with more versions tonight, but I won't add that to the clock because we technically finished the game already, right? That's how we're gonna do it. Whoa, that's not what I meant to do. There we go. Sorry about that. That's what I meant to press. So this is the game that we have been playing. This is the game that we will be playing a little bit more tonight. A top-down, vertical scrolling action game interspersed with first-person Operation Wolf style shooting, and one level with intense password deciphering mechanics. I think it's fair to say that this game is definitely the coolest game we've played so far. It is a massive shame that especially one of the stages is like impossible. The whole thing in stage 2 about having to collect 150 Q tokens in order to afford the submarine capability is completely absurd. But art in this game is incredible. Well, in the Amiga version specifically. And it's got a lot of cool little touches. And it's like a few tweaks away from being a legitimately really good game. As it stands, I think it's just a really sick game that is unfortunately somewhat marred by also being impossible. Impossible for humans, at any rate. Not sure about Brits, but for the rest of us, I don't know, man. But, you know, as I've mentioned multiple times, a lot of these early games, they're weird European computer games, and I wasn't necessarily expecting to be able to complete any of them, let alone legitimately. But we have. For most of them, we've been able to complete them more or less. Some of them we had to cheat. Some of them we had to cheat a lot. Some of them had, you know, multiple versions that were impossible, and one that was surprisingly easy. It's been kind of all over the place. But I was really expecting James Bond to get off to a really rough start, with every game that comes up being like just a frustrating exercise in futility. But I don't think that really has been the case. And as we were talking a little bit about last time, having this kind of chronological perspective, I think, is always exciting, because it just helps every game have like the best possible chance of impressing and being interesting and fun and cool. It's been very nice, I think, to see so many of these games do drastically different things from what came before them. But even so, even if there are certainly similarities between The Spy Who Loved Me and License to Kill, I like both games. They both have their own like highlights. But I think we're basically continuing the streak of each new game being cooler than what came before it. I don't think that streak will hold very long. It might for the next game. I think it actually will. But after that, I think it's it's quite downhill. So just as a little bit of a teaser, Mission 9, which we, of course, are going to take a closer look at when we get there. But I know a lot of people have been excited for this. 007 James Bond, The Stealth Affair, aka Operation Stealth. This game is a highly French, highly inscrutable point-and-click adventure game that was rebranded with the James Bond license when it was released in America. But that counts. It's an officially licensed Bond game, so we're going to be playing it. I played a tiny bit of this when I was a kid, and my main memory of it is not being able to get anywhere. And anytime this game comes up, I think the first thing people mention is that, oh yeah, well, this game's impossible. But luckily, it's a point-and-click adventure game, right? So we should at least not, hopefully anyway, be fully gate-kept by like skill and performance issues. We might need a lot of help, might need a lot of hints, might need a full walkthrough, but nothing should really prevent us from being able to at least see the game from beginning to end. But as I said, we will take a brief hiatus from Bond gaming once we're done with The Spy Who Loved Me. Maybe after Christmas, maybe I'll take a slightly shorter break through January. I'm not sure. Well, not through like the end of January, but through the end of December, possibly. We'll see. But whenever we feel ready to resume James Bond, post Spy Who Loved Me The stealth affair is what we will be diving into. We, of course, also have the Q Branch Research Funding Initiative. Got some contributions last time. I made sure to confirm that the numbers are all up to date and saved properly, so it should be good. Inching our way closer to the first milestone, the first goal, which will enable the first of several hidden secret bonus missions. Additional games to be added to the game list. I'm quite excited for. And all contributions to the channel in the form of subs, bits, donations, merch purchases, and the like will contribute to the research fund. And if you're curious on the status of this, as long as we're playing Bond games anyway, and this, what you call it, layout, scene is open, because I still haven't had the time to do a proper chat message thing for this. But if you type !Q, this little thing should pop up. And this command was previously mistakenly set up such that only I could use it, but everyone should be able to use it now. So if you're curious on the status, you'll see it there. With that out of the way, let us get the game going and let's check out the Amstrad CPC version of The Spy Who Loved Me. Also, let me get my Joy 2 Key setup here going, so actually use our controller. All right, bear with me. Yep, all right. All right, let's fade out these jams. And boom, there we go. Let's see if I remember how this works. License to Kill is not what we're going to play. Oh, I guess it didn't save. Yeah, okay, it makes sense because it crashed. Spy Loved. Oh, that's right. Unreadable Cracktro, but hey, it's a Cracktro and it's got music, so. Channy Grease. Okay, cool. That button works. Okay, I guess since we have a little bit more time tonight, we can try doing this a little more legitimately. As I'm saying that, I'm trying to remember, did I do that last time? I want to say that we did try it without cheats, and then we said, oh fuck it, let's just do cheats. I'm not sure. Well, that might be the case, but let's do it without invulnerability. I think we did try. Oh, did it? I forget what happened exactly. You can do infinite. I'm assuming that's lives. Well, yeah, we definitely did restart it because we started on. Because I was confused about the level numbers, and I picked level 2, and it was like the second half of stage 1. But we'll start from the beginning. We'll almost certainly regret this, or at least retry it. That's right, we got the Amstrad version of the Furnace funky Bond theme. Doesn't hold a candle to the Amiga version, but it's pretty decent in its own right. So the Commodore 64 version plays this music during gameplay. But I'm pretty sure this one didn't. This one has like sound effects. Because, well, it would have... because I tried playing music during gameplay, and that's when everything exploded last time. Alright. Keyboard control. Down, left, right, fire. Alright. Start game. So, you do collect Q tokens in this version. But I think we did the... You do the boat section at the end of this stage, of course. And then I think it skips directly to the underwaters part. Okay. Nice. So there's like no actual Q truck where you would spend the tokens to buy anything. I think it's the same in the C64 version. The manual that we read through last time details all the levels, and it mentions that some of the levels are not present in the 8-bit versions. In fact, about half of them, I guess, are missing. And the Amiga version has 6 stages. Which makes it a little confusing that this one, I guess, would have half of 6, but it still has 5 stages? But as we saw when we used the trainer and I tried to start from level 2, it actually started from the second half of what I would consider level 1. So I was just trying to piece together how the levels might be split up otherwise. Basically, again, if the Commodore 64 version is any indication, we'll have the overhead scrolling levels. I'm holding right. I'm trying to... Wow, okay, there we go. So they would have the driving part, like stage 1, basically. And then I guess this version at least doesn't have the second driving stage. It just has the underwater section. And I guess after that, it would have the jet ski section. Well, that has me confused because the underwater section would be level 3. And that means that one way or another, there's 2 more stages after that. Does that mean that the underwater stage is also split into 2 sections? Who knows? I think that's where we... I don't remember. I was going to say, I think that's where we gave up. We didn't actually even make it to the boss of that stage on my first try, I think. But we did see it on the second attempt. I think we got to the jet ski stage. Dude! I'm sorry, what? Bad show, James. Okay, I touched a water puddle going at about 2.5 miles per hour, and it just shot me off to the left into the bushes, which exploded my car. Yeah, so in this version, we're not getting, like, pelted by bullets or anything. But it remains the fact that driving off-road is literally the most harmful thing to this car. Like, being shot at or exploded, crashing into things, that's all manageable. But if you dare try and drive over rough grass, that will melt the car. Oh, nope. Okay, I guess I touched the wall? Well, I guess we made the checkpoint. Sure. Well, we take those. Okay, let's go. So now we have weapons. Oh, yeah. When you're used to the map from the Amiga version, not having a map feels a little scary. Because this stage in particular has some weird, like, dead ends. Traps. So here at the beginning, like, basically you just follow these buoys or whatever. I mean, I guess you could go to the left there. Hit that jump. But for the next kind of branching path, or whatever you want to call it like that, we have to make sure to be on the left-hand side. The other one on the right? Did I forget? No, I think I have to go right here, because... Yeah. Is there a jump here? Or is this where I go left? Okay, there's a jump here. It's really hard to tell when you're airborne and not in this. The graphics are cool. I still like the CPC graphics. But they're a little cruder than the Amiga version. There's a lot of details missing. Although, I mean, in fairness, the Amiga version has absolutely insane levels of detail. Wait. No, okay, I was gonna say, that's not the end. The level layout's maybe not the same? When there's no map, I get confused. Okay, whew. Love the CPC colors. Yeah, I agree. Like, it has such a cool, vibrant look to it. And there's a really interesting... Yeah, left. I went on at length about this last time, but the CPC has such a distinctive combination of aspects that are like higher fidelity, or whatever. Like comparing it to other 8-bit systems, like the color palette, the resolution, the kind of density of detail. Like if you compare it to like NES stuff or whatever, it might not have a larger color palette altogether, but it has... Yeah, we just skip straight to this. Oh yeah, that's right. These things are fucking impossible to kill in this version. You have to like know exactly where to be. Yeah, and there's like 50,000 bullets. That's right. Art is really... Yeah, and everything takes like 50 hits. Half health. Oh yeah, and the power-ups are like weird. The letters are all mixed up, so the F1 it's backwards, and the R that's supposed to be reverse shot does not do that. The L that's supposed to be the laser actually gives you full health. P is torpedo, and if I pick up another weapon, we just lose torpedo. Yeah, this level kind of sucks. But yeah, I was gonna say about the colors, like compared to like NES graphics, NES is so limited by... Oh yeah, the R is laser in this, I think. Is limited by the palette size. Like you can only have 4 colors on a palette, and you can only have so many palettes on screen at once. And stuff like that. So you have a much kind of... On these kinds of graphics, you end up with a larger variety of... Like more of the screen gets to use more of the colors. Right, I have to shoot slowly for the torpedoes to come out. Yeah, I always died here, right as the... Oh, yeah. Yep, I died. Bad show, James. That's what I was trying to say. I always died right before the health refill comes on screen, or before I could grab it anyway. Yeah, managing color on the NES is tricky, for sure. Wait, what happened to the guy from behind on the right? You can't dodge any of this shit. There's like... The car has like really heavy inertia. So now these show up at the same time. Yeah, this sucks. I almost shot the health refill. I see my... Okay, can I please get access to all of my projectiles? Like, I'm supposed to fire in 8 directions. I'm firing in 2 and maybe 3 on a good day. There we go. It's completely busted. But yeah, like, I guess, like, in some ways, the CPC is pretty similar to the Commodore 64, but the color palette is totally different. C64, of course, has, like, the high-res mode and everything, too, so it's not really a one-to-one. Alright, 50,000 frogmen attacking us. And they're doing advanced Galaga motions, and I fucking shoot the health because your bullets are so slow that, like, you can't afford to not shoot. And then your health pickup slowly drifts on screen. So if I could have managed to collect that health, I would have a better shot at killing the boss for sure. Because that's the end of the stage. Oh yeah, I was gonna say I somehow have 5 lives. So I guess that's somehow because we're using the cheat. Which I don't know if I should have, because I don't know if I have the patience for the other stages. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know that I have the patience for this stage. Oh, that's right. F is backwards, not the sideways shot. I guess the sideways shot doesn't exist in this version. That would have been the S. Like, what? How are you supposed to deal with any of this? It's so ridiculous. Like, just... Even the idea of being able to shoot your power-ups is, like, cruel joke under any circumstance. But, like, doubly so based on how fucked everything else is. I guess the laser beam at least comes out. And it has, like, high damage. I don't think... Yeah, I was gonna say, you can kill that dude fast. Get where they show up. Okay, we have a shot. The final boss here of the stage is, like, totally different from the other version. Oh my god, it's just... Okay, I guess I killed him. Wait, stage is not over. Is there another thing? I forget what happens here. I think the stage just goes on and then maybe it ends. Keep shooting even though he's off screen. Did we do it? Yep, there we go. Yeah, I don't know. The Commodore 64 version, you know, just loops at the end of this stage. I don't think it had text or anything. Or it might have just said mission complete. Yeah, I think the Commodore version has a little text when you beat a stage where it says, like, good show, James, or something. And then I think after this stage, it said mission complete. Oh yeah, you can't... you can move up about, like, 60% of the height of the screen. Okay, that L just did nothing. You can't move further up than that, so your mobility is pretty awkward. E. Okay. So I guess the letters mean different things on this stage. But I guess it's similar to the Amiga version in that all the weapons you get for the jet ski fire forwards. But the enemies all come from behind. Although I guess those guys just actually came from the front. Yeah, that's not health. Yeah, that's just a reverse shot. So the letters are still wrong, but they're wrong in a different way. The E was like the torpedo, I guess. The diagonals, like forward shots. Yep. This might be fairly impossible. There's like no room. The screen is like covered with enemies and bullets, and I don't think I can adequately show you how, like, I'm going left, right. Like, from the time when I start pressing the opposite direction, there's like almost a full second before my vehicle actually starts moving in the other direction. Like, it's preposterous. But what can you even say about this? Like, it's not like a normal civilized shoot 'em up where it's like, well, you know where the enemies show up, so you position yourself so you can shoot them. Because they all move so slowly that they, like, get to shoot you from off screen. Like, they fire off 3 or 4 shots before they have, like, a vulnerable hitbox on screen. And then once they do, they each take, like, 4 hits. You just start getting pelted by bullets from off screen when the stage starts. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to reset with infinite health. I can't make it to the red boat part here with... Actually, this might be the best... Oh, never mind. I was gonna say, I can't make it to the red boats without having, like, taken 90% damage. And I thought I got there with only about 75% damage, but I forgot that this whole section... Now, that's more typical. You get here with 0 health. You can't move further up the screen than this. So, like, when you're trying to instinctively dodge bullets, you just... It's an invisible wall. You can't move. This really sucks. But don't despair, folks. We still have the ZX Spectrum version. Surely it'll be better than this. It's a shame, too, because, like, I don't feel like any of the shortcomings of this version has anything to do whatsoever with, like, the technical capabilities or lack thereof of the system. Like, it's not a technical limitation that it takes this long to, like, change direction. It's not a technical limitation. Like, if anything, there's too much shit going on, because there's, like, too many bullets. It seems like the sprite limit being, like, occupied by the enemy bullets is preventing my bullets from spawning, which is a bit fucked. You could argue that that's a technical limitation, but I would say it's more of a design flaw, with the game prioritizing enemy bullets over your bullets. Unfortunately, we did enable infinite lives, so unless we take executive action, we are stuck in jet ski purgatory. So yeah, like, if you know where the enemies are showing up, you can position yourself to shoot them. But even if you do, it's, like, really hard to actually kill them, because they take so many hits. Like, you can stop to kill 1, but not the other 3. And even when you're able to kill, and, like... Killing enemies in whatever pathetic way or, you know, extent you're able to, does nothing to actually prevent the enemies from shooting you. So the only thing that you're really, like... The only thing that would really matter is your ability to avoid bullets. Like, in most games, in most shoot-em-ups, you'd kind of feel like, yeah, well, offense is the best defense, right? Taking out enemies before they have time to shoot, actually, or I would say that's, at least for, like, sort of 80s shooters, kind of a typical thing where you, like, because enemy bullets are generally pretty fast and lethal, you can sort of take out enemies, and that's how you kind of have to, like, you can't, like, if you're just playing too reactively, you get sort of painted into a corner pretty quickly. But that doesn't like apply here, because even if I can predict and position myself, there's too many bullets and I can't avoid them, and they just like... Ugh. What's up, Professor KB? Yeah, this is like... This part was mostly fine, I think, in the Amiga version. I guess I didn't... When I played this part, I would have had... Okay, the item just despawned. Luckily, there's a second one. Not that it fucking matters. May have had infinite weapons when I got here. I forget. Actually, no, because, well, yeah, I would have had infinite, but the way the cheat works on the Amiga version is... like, you still need to collect the weapons before you can use them. My fucking torpedoes are so useless, they can't reach that far into the screen. I survived slightly longer there, but still no health pickup in sight. Like, these stages are all about... I mean, it's the same thing with the underwater stage. It's all about just surviving until you get the health pickup. Easier said than... Like, look at that rate of fire! Well, it's slowing down now because there's more enemies on screen, so it's just slowdowns, but... Yeah, the bullets move way faster than you. And you have essentially no mobility. And even when you pick up a weapon upgrade, like, it kind of doesn't work. Like the E, the torpedo. Like, it's supposed to fire 2 shots diagonally forward. But most of the time it doesn't do that. Or like the diagonal bullets don't come out unless you like stop shooting for a while. Like if you put too many normal bullets on screen, the diagonal ones won't come out. Well, they're not really shooting in a clockwise pattern. They're shooting towards me. And I have to like move somewhere, so their bullets are like trailing me. So like I'm over here, I can... Well, they're predictable in the sense that they basically continue to fire constantly towards where I am. But sure, like based on where the enemies are spawning, I'm sure technically, like if you tasked it, you could like find a route positioning. Like I'm sure it could be done, but it feels pretty fucking terrible. Maybe I can... Okay, and there's a second wave of boats after that anyway. It's pretty fucked up. Yeah, I think it's doesn't really matter. It's like the fact that like putting bullets on screen, reliability, like your bullets struggle to catch up with the enemies too, even when they're moving towards you somehow. What's up, Duke? Yeah, I'm pretty sure my bullet sprites contribute to slowdown, but the slowdown doesn't really make avoiding it any easier. Or, I mean, well, is it somewhat impossible or fully impossible? Like, I don't know. Technically, maybe it is, but you have such crazy inertia that like you can't really react. But I mean, yeah, keep shooting and see if the game running ever so slightly slower makes it feel any easier. Well, tell you right away, it's not gonna feel any easier, but will I do any better? No. As you can see, if I keep shooting like this, the torpedoes will never come out. They only come out if I've been waiting to shoot. Technically, this might be PB here. 4 of them, okay. Of course, there's more enemies. I wanted to be careful shooting because if there would have been a health drop, I could have shot it. But there's at least one wave of red boats after that. At this point, I'm actually really curious to replay this with invincibility, just to like. I'm glad we did play it like this first, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't have paid attention to how absurd it is. Like, it wouldn't really have registered. We were just kind of drifting through it. Anyway. I think that's about enough. That's about as much of this as I can handle. I'm kind of curious if I'm just sitting there, how does that, like... Oh, okay, right. I was gonna say, am I really gonna make it with about the same health? But no, okay. I always forget that last wave of green boats. I just realized, I don't know if I finished this line of thought earlier, but the Amiga version has these amazing mission briefings in between stages, and it had the incredible ending, which we did get a guru meditation at the end of it, so I don't think we actually missed anything. Like, the Amiga version also loops, because we got the bad ending first, which just said like, oh yeah, we stopped nuclear war, too bad, Anya died. And then it just went back to stage 1. So we played the entire second loop, and in the final stage we made sure to have Anya survive, at which point we got the text debriefing, followed by the amazing artwork, like the insane pixel art of Roger Moore and the girl in bed. But I never advanced from that screen. We were just hanging out at that screen, and then after like a few minutes, we got a guru meditation. But technically, I don't know if there's something after that on the Amiga, but I would assume that the game just loops and continues. The C64 version, I think, when you clear a stage, brings up a line of text that says like "Good show, James" or something like that, right? And I think after, the Amiga version does too, but then it has the briefing stuff after that. But I think when we cleared this stage in the Commodore version, instead of saying "Good show," it said "Mission complete," and then it looped back to stage 1. But this version has like nothing like in between stages or before stages. In fact, this version doesn't even have a title screen. Granted, that could be the trainer that just like skips to level 1 or skips to whatever level we've picked. But actually, even the C64 version, I think, didn't have a title screen. Yeah, you just start off at the beginning of stage 1. It's really awkward. In any case, could the fact that this one has even less going on between stages possibly mean that we might have some kind of surprise waiting for us at the end? I doubt it, to be honest, but you never know. Anyway, this is fucked. Let's... So I don't think... Let me double check here. I'm fairly... Well, actually, no, hang on. I was going to say I'm fairly certain we don't have another version here. Okay, this is probably the same. Yeah, I got another copy, but it appears to be the same. I was just curious if there was one that didn't have trainer. If, by some chance, it made the start of the game any different. But I doubt it. Anyway, let's Okay, let's do invincibility. And yeah, so this version also doesn't have ammo. Like it doesn't have, well, I guess technically it has different weapons, but it's the same in the C64 version. When you pick up any of the weapon pickups in the shooting stages, you just fire more projectiles. You fire the same green dot, but more of them. In the Amiga version, it's like fully different. It's like bullets and missiles and everything. But the Commodore 64 and Atari, not Atari, Amstrad CPC versions don't have any ammo management or whatever. So yeah, you wouldn't need a cheat for infinite ammo. But the most hilarious thing is that the Commodore and Amstrad versions both have Q tokens. You both collect money to purchase gadgets from Q, but Q isn't even in the game. The Q truck where you buy the upgrades is not in the game, but somehow you still. Actually, no, hang on. It's in the Commodore version, because in the Commodore version, you do the driving on the bridge part where you enter the truck. Yeah, because it's only like a text-based shop, and you needed 75 tokens. That's right. But in this version, the truck is all missing. Unless it's all stages are in different order or something. Anyway, so level 1 is the first part of stage 1. Level 2 is the boat part of stage 1. Level 3, I assume, is the underwater shooting part. Let's pick 3. I don't know where 4 is going to put us. I would assume the start of the jet ski stage, but I don't know for sure. So lest we accidentally skip something, let's pick 3. That should put us underwater. Yep. Oh yeah, that's right. The audio is messed up when we skip levels, because it probably like skips the music. You know what? We can redo stage 1. It's not that big a deal. So let's reset again. In the off chance that there's something cool going on audio-wise towards the end. So we'll do invincibility, but we'll start at stage 1. Because we were able to drive straight through bridges and shit with invincibility before, so we can go real fast. We don't have to worry about anything. Enjoy a few seconds of this music though before we dive into it. Again, nowhere near the amazingness of the Amiga one, but still pretty good. Alright. Okay. I imagine missing out on this audio delight. Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. When we have invincibility, I was not able to collect weapons on the other stages. Funnily enough, we can collect Q tokens and we can crash with cars and cones. Because my theory was that the invincibility just disables collision altogether. But I guess that does not appear to be the case. But granted, the mechanics could just be working differently on different stages. Alright, do a little Ridge Racer 360 drift. Oh, the inertia is definitely a thing here as well. Doesn't get quite as fast-paced, as exciting as the Amiga version does, although you never actually want to go fast. Oh, that's where Holy crap, that's what killed me before. But now that I'm invincible, you can see how far it really shot me to the left. It's just fully absurd. If you don't have cheats, if you just drive out on the grass for like about half a second to a second, you die. Yeah, no need to worry about that. Illusion of the Q tokens truly is baffling. Because it's not like they give... Well, actually, I don't think they do. I was going to say, it's not like they give us points. I guess they do. No, you just get points from driving. Probably just coincidental that I got points at the same time. I'm holding right, by the way. There we go. So the Amiga version has puddles and oil slicks. I guess maybe this one does too, except they just look the same. All right. Missed the pier by a little bit there, but we hit the loading zone, so we're good. Shoot missiles. Like more Q tokens. So in the Amiga version, in case you didn't weren't around to watch it, so far the game is basically the same. But after this stage, there's another driving stage. And on the driving stage, Q shows up in a supply truck. It's funny the enemies just go through. Supply truck kind of spy hunter style. Sure, let's just go up here. And you need to spend your hard-earned Q tokens to buy health refills or weapon upgrades, etc. But you also have to get the mandatory upgrade that allows your car to go underwater. Which obviously is like the main gimmick of the car from the film. So it's pretty funny to me that you don't actually get, like, you have to buy that separately from Q. And the fucked thing is that, like, you can make it to the first Q truck on stage 2 with, like, 100, maybe 120 tokens. But you need 150. So you have to, like, make your way all through the stage. And maybe you can just barely scrape together 150 by the time you get to the second Q truck. But you also have to spend money on armor refills. Because if you don't, you'll just, like, almost certainly get killed. I mean, you will almost certainly get killed even if you do. So the balance of the economy of the tokens you earn versus the tokens you are obligated to spend is just completely messed up. Did that guy also become invincible because he drove through a wall or something? He's been with us the entire stage and I couldn't shoot him. Well, whatever. Underwater stage again. Yeah, so in the other version, then you have to get the upgrade, and then you have to drive off a little jetty into the water, and that's how you get to this part, which is technically still part of stage 2 in that version. This is like the second half of stage 2. Kind of surprising. I think they could have easily gotten away with calling it stage 3 and pad the number of stages on the back of the box, but sure if the collision worked because it was a bit slow. Well, no matter. And at the end of this stage, yeah, like them, you get to Atlantis, which is Karl Stromberg's lair, basically. And you have the first of the amazing shooting stages, like the Operation Wolf reticle shooting stage. And in that stage, you actually don't control Bond. Because Bond is on screen riding a little camera surveillance orb, very slowly drifting from the left corner of the screen to the right corner. So you have to protect Bond while he gets to that other side of the screen, to the control room, like armored wall, so that he can plant an explosive, and then you have to wait for him to slide back on the camera thing. All the while, scuba divers pop up to shoot him, and tracksuit henchmen run up to him and try to stab him with a knife. So you have to like shoot all these guys that pop up while conserving ammo and being careful to collect ammo drops. But that's like the coolest stage. Actually, maybe the coolest stage is after that. Once you get inside the security room, you have to like crack the code so you can send the new coordinates to the nuclear submarine. Or the submarines, plural, I guess there's two of them. So that they will nuke each other instead of Moscow and New York. It's a very unique, cool stage. Alright, so let's see how this feels now that we're invincible. Again, I guess you can't, like... When you don't register really whether you would have dodged or gotten hit by these bullets, there's no... Like, you can't tell how impossible this is. But having experienced it without cheats moments ago, I'm just curious to see... Like, how long would I have had to survive to get a health drop? Like, was I actually getting close to making substantive progress in this stage? Or not? This is further than I got most of my attempts, but I did get about this far once or twice. The furthest I got is to the first red boats that spawn after this. So maybe R is health, but I didn't see that. Because again, the letters, the pickups, which letter is what upgrade, like for some reason is different in each stage in this version. But R might have been health, but I don't remember seeing that because I was very careful not to shoot after those boats because I didn't want to shoot any power-ups. Alright, this is pretty neat. It's shooting an awful lot, though. Yeah, as long as I'm moving like this, I can kind of dodge it, but yeah, see, as soon as I'm trying to change direction, I unavoidably get hit by like 2 or 3 shots. And having weapon upgrades would not help, because they barely work. Like, unless you fire really slowly, the actual upgraded weapons don't come out. Just get normal shots. Alright. Definitely no health after the first tiny little mini-boss. Yeah, there's a couple of these boats in the Amiga version too. Sake, though. It's just... You have to wait this long to, like, get behind it so you can actually... Well, okay, that's not true. I was gonna say you have to get behind it before you can shoot it. If your collision detection works, you would have most likely had the backwards shot. Okay, so that was stage 4. So is stage 5 a second jet ski stage? We do get the... Okay, I was almost joking, but no. This is supposed to be the beginning of stage 2, but they just put it over here. So, once we're done with the underwater part, that cue, this is when we get... Wow, okay. The submarine is 150, but why would it... Like, we're already done. Why is that... Look at the submarine weapon upgrades. Lotus gun. Do I have to buy? So wait. This is the final stage. Why would the submarine thing be... I'm so confused. Yeah, the underwater upgrade is... It's not only after we've done the underwater section, it is like in preparation for the end of the final stage after the game is over. But is it still going to be like mandatory? I'm really scared to spend any money on anything else. So I'm not going to buy anything. Okay, this jump was a bit weird, but okay. Getting to 150 is going to be... Because the way you clear this stage in the Amiga version is you get the upgrade and then you drive into the water. And if you choose to not go in there, like basically it's a branching path. And either you drive into the end of the stage or the stage loops. So I guess what we'll do is, I was gonna say, what we'll try to do is we'll try to jump into the water and see what happens. But I'm getting a little freaked out here about the possible. Well, okay, sure. Holding right here, by the way. Granted, I can't steer in midair. That much is fair. Like if it's supposed to kill us for driving into the water, but with the invincibility, like I just have no idea how any of that's gonna shake out. A little spooked. Maybe rather see if we can try to have the stage loop, which I can't recall if we ever actually got to the point where we confirmed that that's what happened. It just like logically seems to be what would happen. Because yeah, obviously it makes absolutely no sense. Oh, I hit a water puddle, I guess. It makes absolutely no sense to have to get the water upgrade at this point, right? Okay. Well, I guess we looped the stage or died. Same difference, really. Alright, okay. Because I was going to say, logically, it makes no sense that we would have to collect all the tokens. I wonder if they put this stage later that you could have some kind of a chance to actually collect the necessary tokens. Kind of nice, I suppose. But yeah, regardless of what makes sort of narrative sense, you know, if this stage is still the same stage, the way it would function is, well, you have to have the sub upgrade to exit the stage. It's not really that you need to have it in the next stage. It's just you need to have it to finish this stage. And regardless of what comes before or after, there's, you know, nothing to prevent them from doing that. Also, what happened to my Q tokens? I guess it's just a 2-digit counter. So I'm at 110. Because I didn't lose them from dying. I was up at, last I saw, I was like 80, 90 something. Well, I hope I'm at 111. If you can't go above 99 tokens, that would be pretty amazing. That's one way to make this unbeatable. Require an upgrade that costs more than you can actually, like, that costs more money than you can have in your inventory. That's a pretty original concept. Nice. Oh, well, okay, sure, let's grab those two. I'm holding right, by the way. I was just starting drifting. What is with those puddles and shooting you off to the left? Bizarre. Also, the truck didn't appear. That may be a problem. Because the Q truck is supposed to show up so that you can buy the upgrade, right? The Q truck was there the first time, but we haven't seen it since. In the Amiga version, the truck does appear once at the beginning of the stage and once at the end of the stage. But here it appeared once at the beginning of the stage, and then it didn't show up at the end of the stage, and then it didn't show up at the beginning of the stage on the second loop either. Or whatever you want to call this. I don't even know, because we... Um, when you enable the cheat for invincibility... Oh, there's the truck. Okay. Well, guess I'm at 142. Let's just see. Really say. Okay, well. Oh, yeah, you can drive on two. Oh, whoa! You can flip over! Holy shit, I've never done that before. I'm sure that's in the Amiga version, too. They wouldn't have added it just for this version. Because, yeah, if you drive up the side of a ramp, you actually start driving on two wheels. I guess I never thought to try and flip over. That's awesome. Anyway, okay, we got the 150. Anyway, yeah, what I was trying to say is, when you turn on the invincibility cheat, the trainer doesn't ask you if you want infinite lives. Presumably because with the invincibility cheat you cannot die, so it's kind of a moot point. But seeing the way this stage ends / loops made me a bit curious about that, because there's no distinction, right? Like, I can't tell whether it's looping or I'm just starting over and would have had one less life. But the life counter is just static because of the cheat. Like, not sure which it is. I guess I'm not that concerned with finding out either. We did see the Q truck at the beginning of this loop, which makes me think either the truck was there on the second loop and I was just not paying attention, or maybe instead of showing up twice per loop, the Q truck just shows up one every other loop. Oh, we got the helicopter coming up. We're pretty close to the end of the stage. What build-up, huh? What if sub-upgrade is still blue? Which I took to mean that it was a different color in the shop menu because it was too expensive to afford. Make sure not to wrap around 99 again. Oh, okay. Please, truck. It would have been on screen already, right? Okay. Well, we have to finish one more lap. I pressed left. At this point, I'm deliberately attempting to avoid the tokens. Just in case. Like, if we wrapped over 100, we have 185. If it actually works properly, then I suppose going over wrapping again shouldn't make a difference, but I don't know that I trust anything in this game. Pretty good. Yeah, because you press left there and you like fall back down on 4 wheels. But what I did before was I pressed right and he actually just toppled over. It was a very cool detail. And I wonder if the fact that I could keep driving after that is just an infinite lives, infinite health kind of thing. I sure wouldn't put it past this game to just instantly kill you for screwing something up like that. I can just take the scenic route, I guess. Doesn't really matter, does it? Avoiding tokens, at least. Because if somehow it wrapped around and now we could go over 100 to get 150, we still wouldn't have been able to get, like, enough. Definitely curious. Yeah, we need the sub upgrade because right now we just end up driving on the surface of the water. We need to be able to submerge. Okay, will Q show up this time? Oh, there we go. Dude, I was so spooked. Oh, okay, we can afford it. There we go. We bought it. Oh, I guess we can buy some missiles. Oh, I guess the missiles is maybe the ground to air missiles that let you destroy the helicopter. Who knows? The whole weapon thing in this version is baffling. So, okay. Presumably, now that we have the upgrade, once we hit the end point of the level, it should not restart the level. It's a little incomprehensible, a little obtuse, like how that. Like, imagine if you play this without a manual. Like, setting aside the fact that the game's impossible. Like, the way that the level loops around, the reason for which it would mandate the purchase of the submarine upgrade, like, none of it makes any logical sense. Or, like, fits together in a way that you could possibly intuit. Also setting aside the fact that this stage is last for no reason. Well, guessing it's last, based on what we saw about the level numbers. Like, the levels are in the wrong order. The upgrade letters are all jumbled up, too. Like, not only in the submarine levels are the letters, like, not correct for what letters, what upgrade. But also, on the underwater level and the jet ski level, they're not the same. They're both wrong, but in different ways, which is kind of absurd. I think I was able to shoot the helicopter there, maybe thanks to the missiles. Okay, we're pretty close to the end, right? I have a feeling we're not going to get a cool ending. Oh, I think we beat the level. Well, that's our ending. We're rewarded with a return to the title screen. Well, that's kind of a good reward, actually, because this is the only version we played so far that doesn't loop. We finish every stage, and as a reward, we don't have to play this game anymore. Alright. I think we've seen all that we need to see of the Amstrad CPC version of 007 James Bond, The Spy Who Loved Me. Oh, that's it, guys. I don't have any, like, yeah, I don't think I have much to add. What a weird port. Like, it had this. Why are the stages in that order? Why would they change that? The only thing I could possibly think of is it allows you a little bit more time to collect tokens. But that doesn't make sense either, because there aren't any tokens in the other stages anyway. I don't think there were, at least. It's like, why would there be? The CPC version has some good music, but this music is also just a worse version of the Amiga music. So it's not really something it can hold over any other version. I think the pixel art's decent, but the same thing again. It doesn't really offer anything that the Amiga version doesn't do better. I think that's true for both this and the Commodore 64 version. I mean, frankly, that's what you would assume. But it's not always the case. Especially when they're really different. There can be something that's like more... Like, Live and Let Die was a good example. I think the Commodore 64 and Amstrad versions were both... Like, the Amiga, Amstrad, and Commodore 64 each had some kind of unique appeal to them. I kind of enjoyed all three. I don't think that's really true here. Looking for positives. No, I mean, I'm glad we checked it out. It's interesting. But I wouldn't exactly recommend it to anyone. Well, let's get rid of that. I'm gonna take a short break, and when I return, let's check out the ZX Spectrum version, which I'm sure will be even more amazing. Honestly, I don't really know what to expect though. I am curious, but we'll take a short break first. I'll see you guys in just a little bit. Mike, please. All right, okay. You can hear me now. I think. I hope. I'm back. Let's see if we can get some Spectrum action going. Give me a second here to try and set this up. I want to use... Works. All right, give me a sec to try and set this up on stream. Oh yeah, we don't. Okay, yep. If I remember how to load a game in this thing. We can turn this down. In the meantime, I'm sure we'll have plenty of delightful sounds coming off of this. So hopefully I can just open and have a disc and a tape version. I guess the disc version would be better if it runs. So let's try open that and see how it works. I don't know much about Spectrum, but it looks promising. Better HUD than than the Amstrad version had. Update this. Explain that we're playing the Spectrum version. Spectrum 48K was your first computer. Loved it, not expecting much here. Yeah, I think that's fair. Can we assume that it might be loading? Or is it more likely that something messed up? I'm going to say it seems entirely plausible that it would just load this up and then just have this be what's on screen while it's loading. Not being familiar at all with anything Spectrum in particular, but just based on my experience with other old weird Euro computer jank, hardly would be the strangest thing I've seen. Try pressing some keys here. In case that helps. Wait, is there a let's see if there I'm bringing up a menu thing here. I want to see if there's like a turbo mode. Something. Fast forward just in case. Figure that out. I do have another Spectrum emulator in case this turns out to not seemingly work out. Trap with the raid. Welcome, Trap and Raiders. We are currently attempting to see if we can get The Spy Who Loved Me for the ZX Spectrum to run. We just enjoyed playing through the Amstrad CPC version, which was fairly impressive. Wait, is that what I said? Fairly unimpressive was what I meant to say. Fairly impossible to defeat by human hands. Luckily, we had some French cheat codes to help us. Not that great, though. But the Amiga version, holy shit, that one was incredible. Spectrum gaming, or attempts thereof. Yeah, KV, that was my impression. Like, I would have expected some feedback or acknowledgement that something was happening. I wouldn't have expected this to be like what it would look like when loading. I just didn't feel confident saying that for sure. So this is a disk image, but I do have a tape image that we can try to boot up. If neither seems to work too well, I do have another emulator that we can try. But yeah, Lord, yeah, all these old computer shit. It's always a hassle. Anyway, In case people from Trap's channel are unfamiliar, hello and welcome everybody. I'm Jiggy. I'm purveyor of all kinds of old dank jank, and we are currently in the midst of James Bond, my quest to explore the history of James Bond video games. You can learn more by clicking that link to visit the official spreadsheet, which has the full list of games and some other information. We are currently, let's see if I can do this properly, playing The Spy Who Loved Me. We finished the Amiga version, we finished the C64 version, we cheated our way through the Amstrad CPC version just to see what it looked like, and we're about to do the same with the Spectrum version, or at least play as much of it as we are capable of, / can put up with. Having limited luck so far, but it was literally just our first attempt. So we still we'll keep trucking. All right, whoops. There we go. Yeah, that's the other thing with Spectrum, right? It's similar to MSX. There's like 5,000 different hardware configurations. I guess the Amiga is kind of like that too, but with the Amiga, it's like usually you can go with a 500 or a 1200 and either will probably work. Maybe it's not as convoluted with the Spectrum either, but as someone who's completely ignorant, it's a little daunting. Yeah, it's currently set to Spectrum plus 3. But I could try putting it to something else and like resetting it. Because like I said, there was a different. You know what? Let's just open up the other. To have a version that's a. This was a .dsk and I have a .tap. Obviously, in real life, so to speak, I'd rather load off a disk than tape, but I don't know what loading is going to be like exactly. The plus 3 was the only one that had a disk drive. I see. Learning. Just open the tap file and see what happens. All right, so far, pretty much the same. Let's try changing model, I guess. Oh, okay. Wow, it just does that. Okay. Really, let's do a 48. Old time's sake. I guess I open. So what happens if I open the disk image now? I guess it just switches to a. Okay, but it didn't actually load it. Okay, yeah, it changed my hardware to the 128 plus 3, but it didn't actually load the disk. Let's switch it to the 48K and try to load the tape. This is like full British archaeology right now. I'm just curious if I can understand any of this. Let that sit. Let me just take a quick look to see. I have a TZX file, but it's split up in side 1 and side 2. Yeah, I figured 48. My understanding is that it's kind of the equivalent of the Amiga 500, basically. Like 500 was kind of the budget Amiga, but it's because it's the model that proliferated. Like that's the base model that all games were kind of made for, with the exception of some late ones that require the 1200 AGA like graphics hardware. But it's usually like a safe guess, and I would assume that even for a late release, for something like this, it would not have targeted like higher end hardware, presumably. Open. I have no idea what would happen. Let me grab these TZX files. The ZX, I guess I should. It's the fact that it has side 1 and side 2 as separate files that I'm a little bit concerned about. I have no idea how the actual loading of that would work. At this point, this seems all messed up, so let me just restart the emulator altogether. And if this won't work, then we'll try the other one. We'll set it to +3, whatever, right? I can load and eject disk into disk drives. Does not appear that I have an option to do the same for Ape. But it's not like there's no option that it looks like to. It's set to auto load tapes and disk, but not specifically to like a reset or whatever. So maybe if you were to open side 2, it would just load where it's supposed to. I don't know. I tried opening the side 1.tzx. Okay, this looks a little more like it's supposed to. Yeah, because the .tap file, maybe it because it looked like that like loaded up instantly, but maybe it was just something that was sort of stuck in memory from the tape or the disk version or something. I don't know. Well, the emulator has an option for fast tape load, so it should be a little faster. Well, I guess pausing it to bring up the menu to double check the settings is only making it take longer. That's fine. I don't mind. I don't have anything else scheduled for tonight's stream, and if/when we do get this game up and running, I don't think we'll be playing it for hours on end. I'm half tempted to, in the meantime, I'm going to take a look at the other. I have another window here with another emulator. Shit, is it like not? Yeah, I like clicked another window and it's like, did that make it stop loading? I think we might have to try this other emulator. Right now I'm using Speccy, and the other one I have here is Inspector, and I've had very like different amounts of success with different things in either emulator. I think Speccy is the one that I was eventually able to get the light gun stuff working in. But I'd used Inspector before and at least occasionally had stuff be playable. But you're right, it doesn't look like this is quite doing what it's supposed to. Alright, let's try this then. Let's see. That. Okay. Load supported file. Try to load this disk version here. See how this works. See? That looks better. Sounds better? Honestly, I'm impressed hearing any attempts at music on a Spectrum. Yeah, GG, we completed the arduous task of booting up a game. $128K Spectrum had a decent sound chip. Yeah, I guess again though, um, I would not expect any games to kind of make use of it. Obviously, 1990 is late by Spectrum standards, so maybe games would be designed for the 128. I'm so out of my wheelhouse with any of this stuff. But in my mind, like, I expect Spectrum games to just be clicks and white noise. So stuff that isn't just attempts at music, but actually like, oh yeah, it's this song, you know. I don't think this sounds quite as good as the CPC version, but it's not far off. Pretty dang close. Okay, hopefully we have the Joy-2 key stuff set up here, so hopefully that'll work out. Okay, so I'm gonna go with keyboard control. This looks extremely similar so far. Yeah. I'm not allowed to use the P key to move right, huh? Okay. Probably pause or something. Okay. So let me copy this. That. I'll change this to L. Yeah, okay, that works. I'm just shocked because I'm expecting it. Like the reason I have the Joy-2 key set up for QAOP is because that tends to be kind of the, well, I guess I shouldn't say the standard, but it's certainly a standard. Okay, whatever key I had that to worked at least. Yeah, not just Spectrum either. You'd see it on other stuff as well. Because like these, like they basically, you know, from a modern perspective, it seems really weird to not use arrow keys or anything. But these keyboards usually didn't have civilized arrow keys. Like you might have had, in some cases, you might have like left and right being on the same key, and it's like a modifier. It's like you press the left right key to go left, and you press shift and the key to go right, or you just have them kind of, you know, snuggled up around the corner of the keyboard or whatever. So kind of made sense. I think it's fair to argue that the ZX Spectrum didn't have any civilized keys. It had a wobbly rubber membrane. Um, but yeah, you make do with what you have, I suppose. All right, let's also worth noting, I guess, no trainer. So let's see how this goes. Um, F's in chat for those F's. Okay, well, we got some nice screen tearing already. Those are cute tokens, I guess. Oh, see, the car rotates, actually. Didn't do that on the CPC. Yeah, we finished the... Okay. We finished the Amiga version... shooting. Sorry. We finished the C64 version, like, in 5 minutes after playing the Amiga one on Saturday. Oh, those are the pedestrians. They're also missing. This is, like, got way more stuff in it. Whereas, like, there's way less stuff that's cut in this version than in the CPC one. I mean, it runs a little rough, but it's arguably faster. Like, the frame rate's choppy, but it's not slow. Like the... Oh, shit. These. Like the Amstrad version. The C64 version is like pretty disappointing. Like the Amiga one is awesome, and you would expect the Commodore one to be lesser, but all of the 8-bit versions are missing half the stages. It's like all just the top-down driving slash shooting stages. I guess the only thing I would really say that's nice about the Commodore 64 version, I mean, it's, you know, you can play the game. It controls okay. Like the shooting is a bit awkward because barely see what anything is. I'm holding right, by the way. Yep. You just crawl over an oil slick and it just shoots you over. Okay, there's actual checkpoints here though. Wow. Okay, make sure not to touch that. Oh, I did touch it. Are these, maybe those are water puddles? I don't know. But mid-stage checkpoints was not in the Amiga version either. But yeah, so the Commodore version has music playing throughout gameplay, which is neat, but like the shooting was really awkward. Like all your projectiles are these like single pixel flashing green dots. Like obviously the C64 version is not going to be as graphically elaborate as an Amiga version, but I think there's a lot of games where the Commodore 64 version has its own kind of appeal. It's got its own thing going for it compared to the Amiga. The Spy Who Loved Me is not really such a case. But frankly, the Amiga version is so impressive. It's so visually elaborate that like it's no. Ugh. There's no way any other version would ever live up to it. Yeah, the Amiga version was like really cool. It was just impossible and really stupid in a few ways. You could absolutely tweak a few values, like reduce enemy HP by a lot to make the shooting stages more civilized, and that's really the major thing you'd need to change. I guess the like change the price of the submarine thing, because yeah, you may notice we're collecting these Q tokens. The Q tokens are used to purchase upgrades from Q. Okay, I started exploding. Oh, I cleared the stage. Fine. And you need, depending on the version, a certain amount. Dude, this is so hard to look at. There's way too much texture in the water. Like you can't make out anything. Oh yeah, we have weapons in the stage. You have to spend 150 tokens in the Amiga version to buy the submarine upgrade. And without the submarine upgrade, you can't clear, like you can't get to the next stage. But even though, like, even if you collect everything in, up to that point, you just cannot have 150, like, there aren't enough tokens in the game to collect enough in time. So you have to, like, grind on that stage by repeating the stage a few times, either by dying or looping the stage. Because the stage does loop. But it's so fucking hard that that's, like, impossible. It's not a strategy for humans. I think I go right here. There might be a jump on the left, but I always get these places mixed up. Because there's no map in this version. Yep, good thing I went to the right. Not sure if it's possible on Amiga, but on ST, got the first demo to start on the boat part and it just dies. Yeah. Yeah, the attract mode is insane in the Amiga one too. It, like, it shows every level. Enemies seem less tanky. I have not been paying much attention, but they definitely had less HP on the Commodore 64 version, I think. They died in like 1 or 2 hits. One hit wasn't enough. But yeah, so again, the C64 version, the sub costs, or the sub upgrade costs 75. So if they're that humane in this one, we could be all right. But in the CPC version, it costs 150. Also, stage 2, like the second half of stage 2, the first half of stage 2 is you're driving on the highways and the bridges and whatnot. And you have to get the upgrade from the Q's truck. And then when you have the upgrade, you go to the underwater section. And that's still stage 2. This guy's really aggressive. Also pretty tanky. In the CPC version, the second half, you finish stage 1, Then you do the second half of stage 2. Then you do stage 3. And then, as the final stage of the game, you do the first half of stage 2. So even though you've already done the underwater segment, the final stage will loop endlessly until you get enough money to buy the submarine upgrade. And when you reach the end of the level with the submarine upgrade, you don't actually go into the water. You just hit an invisible loading trigger, and you get a black screen, and then it goes back to the title screen when you complete the game. It's completely incomprehensible. This one has a nice little status, panel. It says 007, which is kind of cool. Do we get the... Nope, okay. I was going to say, do we get a little pier that we park? Okay, the stages are in the correct order in this one. That's a nice improvement over the CPC version. I would say, obviously not being able to tell what the hell we're looking at. The slight demerit. Oh, there's the jump. But that aside, I'm trying to go to the right because I want those tokens. But aside from that aspect, I would say this is probably a better version than the CPC one. We'll see. Well, I guess we'll have to see how the actual shooting parts go. But this is like closer to the Amiga version in a lot of ways than the CPC one. I did not touch right. I tapped left and he just went right into the grass. I guess there's maybe fewer enemies here. It's nice. Because that's definitely something that screws you over in the Amiga one. You jump for 50 miles. You have these trucks and shit. Oh, wait, is that the Q truck? Because it should be... Actually, we should have seen it already. Yep, that's Q. Oh yeah, tokens 02. There's no third digit for the tokens in this one either. That's exactly what I was trying to avoid. Holding right. Steering is pretty fucked. Going inside is a little easier, I guess. We need 150. But any upgrades we get, assuming it's the same as the Amiga version, you'd lose on death. So you really don't want to spend your tokens and then die. The tokens do carry over, however. But yeah, even on this version, obviously I didn't get every single token I could have. But it did not, like, did it really seem possible to have gotten 150 tokens by that point? I say no. All right, the Amiga strats. Whenever enemies show up, just park your car and wait for the enemies to drive away. Would have been nice with some kind of audio feedback whenever you collect tokens. It feels pretty unsatisfying to just drive over them in complete silence. Oh my god, I still hit that. Somehow. Yep, that's a cop car. They just go flying out of nowhere. Whenever they add, like, too much texture, it's, like, really tough to look at. Oh, helicopter shooting at me, I guess. Yep, drained a bunch of HP. Oh, whoa, okay. I was just about to say, well, I don't have the weapon to fight the helicopter, but... still worked. Yep, sometimes that happens. You just hit something, and it just forcefully pushes you outside of the road, and your health just drains. It seems very doubtful that I will be able to get 150 before I die here. So, I mean, I wasn't as diligent with collecting tokens as I frankly should have been. I just wasn't sure. I did not even touch left. Like, it's absurd, but I can at least on some level accept the fact that if you... like, I can understand the video game logic of touching something and it just pushes you away to the left. Like, or to the right in this case. Like, it's bad and it's weird, but okay. It makes some sort of sense. But when you're literally not touching anything, you're going super slowly, and all of a sudden, you lose all control of your vehicle and you just get pushed all the way off to the side. Um, that's terrible. All right, so I'm gonna say, man, the Q truck feels like it shows up really late here, but that's probably just because it was so weirdly immediate in this CPC version. I think this is basically what it's like in the Amiga one, but I'm going so much slower here too. I didn't touch left. Like, why is it that I go slow? It just pushes me to the left. Okay. I like that Q just comes in from off screen. So in the Amiga one, you can kind of keep Q around for a while. Now, the problem is, even if I am able to do the same thing here, I don't want to buy the sub here. If we assume that it's like the Amiga one, there's going to be a second truck much closer to the end of the level. And I need to get that far before, like, basically, if I buy the sub upgrade here, then I die, then I lose my sub upgrade and my 150 tokens. So I'd rather try to save my money to the end. So in fact, I should probably just get rid of Q. He's not as much of a menace here as using the Amiga one, granted, but um, yeah. Trying to get the Q tokens, but I hit some oil, so I just, okay, can we, here we go. Oh boy. Yeah. Entering the Q truck in the Amiga version is a bit of an ordeal at times. Didn't even touch left. I don't have smoke this version. But yeah, so these trucks, they like shoot projectiles at you, and there's a bunch of parts where there's like just a lot of traffic and bumping. And there's a lot less of that going on here. So I feel like if I can avoid hitting oil puddles or whatever else that pushes me off into the bushes, surviving to the end of the level with enough health, like, sort of make it through. Yeah, see, even the helicopter is like pretty trivial to dismiss. Let's just park. Holding right. I'm holding right. Okay, I hold park. The grass kills you at a similar rate as it does in the Amiga version. I would say maybe slightly slower, but you can, there are weird forces at play that just push you off the road in a way that doesn't happen in that version. So, like, sum total, I would say the grass is about as lethal. It's still the most lethal thing you have to contend with. I think that's fair to say. Okay, a cop car out in the bushes that just despawn. Oh, these guys do shoot you. Oh, wait. Is that a barrier in the middle of the road? No. Second helicopter. Yeah, they just have fucking hit scan weapons in this one, which they don't in the Amiga. Okay, so I am taking a lot more damage than I thought I would. This is like, yeah, there's not a lot of vehicles here. And you don't keep bumping into stuff. Well, at least I have enough, hopefully. In the Amiga version, the armor is like a variable cost. It costs more depending on how much damage you've taken. But here it seemed like maybe the armor refill is always just 10. Because I have 166 right now. What's up, Game Tapes? Well, this is, an 8-bit port of an extremely cool Amiga game. And all the stages are definitely, like, it helps, of course, when you get the kind of the briefing screen and everything. But all the scenes are based on, like, set pieces from the film. Pretty sick. Submarine. Lotus armor. Wait. It didn't refill my health bar. Does it? Will it do that now? Oh, okay, it does. Okay. I was a bit spooked. Yeah, I mean, the main thing going against the Amiga version, which is like the main version of this game, is that it's impossible. Other than that, it's pretty cool. Like, some of the scenes here are a bit sort of exaggerated. Yeah, I think maybe this is the left part that leads to the jetty, possibly? No signage in this version. But I believe this is... Nope, I guess not. I was going to say pretty close to the end of the stage. Well, maybe. Nope! I would say The Living Daylights was maybe the best movie at like reasonably accurately depicting set pieces and action scenes from the film. But even that has like some conspicuously missing parts. The driving stuff here... Oh, there we go. Jetty. It's a little bit exaggerated with the shooting and the missiles and everything. But it does do a good job of incorporating like most of the major beats, most of the major action beats as scenes or like stages in the game. All right. Whoa. Seamless transition. Okay. Seems like this is going to be somewhat impossible. Enemies are... Yep. You have this absurd inertia that makes it impossible to dodge anything. But technically, I could have bought weapons for the submarine stage. But I think... I guess I don't know. Oh. I think if I get to this stage with those weapons, the same thing applies, that if I die, I lose whatever weapons I have. But yeah, I mean, we've been playing these different versions of the game in basically reverse impressiveness order. Armor. Oh, okay. That's the torpedo. This version also kind of mislabels some of the pickups a little bit. Not as badly as the Amstrad one, but... This one seems to let me actually shoot my weapons a little bit better. Probably do want the laser, though. I shot it. Okay. Yeah, you can shoot your upgrades, by the way. Of course you can. It'd be too easy otherwise. Or actually, it's still a lot more playable than the Amstrad version. Try to get closer to see if we can hit multiple projectiles here. Oh, I guess it's the same. If I shoot too quickly... Like, it's not that my missiles have limited rate of fire, so if I shoot normal shots, like only every 5th shot has a missile or whatever. No, if I shoot quickly... Okay, never mind. I guess it's not like that. I was gonna say, if I shoot quickly, the missiles never come out. I guess it's not like that here, but that's what it's like in the Amstrad version. But yeah, this is a lot more civilized. But this is not like the really hard stage. We still cleared this legitimately. It's the jet ski stage, the final stage, that's like incredibly fun. Okay, and there's health at least. Armor. Yeah, it's kind of weird that it's called damage, because it's actually, it looks more like just a health bar. Like it doesn't fill up when you take damage. Okay, so I actually have like these shots that fire like sideways and backwards. Oh, he's shooting me there, so... In the Amiga one, the boss is pretty different. But you still, like... Still has these, like... giant laser beams that you have to avoid. But the final boss of this stage is not in the 8-bit versions. You have to get close to try and shoot them, but then, yeah, they're tanky as fuck. Stage is basically over after these guys, I think. Okay, their bullets also have pretty limited range. Or there's, I guess, a limited number of them. They despawn each other's bullets. Yeah, see? That's interesting. What makes that a little easier? Oh my god, the boss is in this version! Holy shit! Well, that's gonna be pretty impossible, probably. Fucking homing missiles. Alright, there's the laser beams. Alright, we blew up one turret, but... Wait, I blew up both of them? Died. Okay, bad show, James. But this... I was gonna say, but does this stage have checkpoints? Probably not. Okay, well... The laser is by far the most damaging weapon. So if I manage to snag a laser, this could be doable. At this point, I'm just intrigued. If the jet ski stage is any more like feasibly completable by humans. As these guys fire a lot fewer projectiles in this version. Like in the CPC version, they just cover the screen basically. They like it's just in a rapid pace. It's just like boom, 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 and they all aim straight for you, and your movement is so slow. So when you have 3 divers, each diver will shoot like 4 bullets before they leave the screen. Here it's like a group of 4 divers, and there's like 2 bullets total, 3, maybe 4. We got the upgrade. R is just a reverse shot. It's a worse version of this. Like in the Amiga one, you actually get like the weapon stack. More or less, anyway. Here you just get the one upgrade. These are the Galaga guys. They're going swarming in patterns. Did I shoot? No, okay, that was a mine, right? I don't know where the laser appears, and this weapon shoots like all over the screen, so I don't have the opportunity to get a laser before this guy. Maybe I did shoot the laser and I just didn't notice. But yeah, like this stage in its full Amiga glory, like full on fucking shoot 'em up with multiple bosses, like it's pretty sick. And I mean, for a Spectrum game, pretty like they did a good job with converting it. Like you still have these little bubbles everywhere. Like despite the screen being mostly solid black, I still think it does a decent job of feeling like it's underwater. Like the Amiga version has amazing atmosphere and cool graphical effects. Does obviously not quite get that, but given what it has to work with, I think it's doing a commendable job for sure. These guys, a little trickier to just kind of leave. Laser and armor. The laser is really buff. Look at my health, though. It's buff enough, though. There's a second wave of divers. Yeah, see, you need the most powerful weapon to take the weakest enemies out. Any other weapon is like too useless. And also crucially, this weapon has like full screen range. Yeah, dude, I already broke that. Like it's, you can see how much quicker you take shit out. So whatever it is I'm supposed to hit at the top of the screen, dude, look at these bullets. I should be able to hit it. In the Amiga version, there's like turrets on the left and right. Yeah, I'm not supposed to like go and... We did it! Okay, never mind. Okay, this is eerily similar to the Spectrum, or to the Amstrad version. At least in terms of how much shit there's on screen that I cannot possibly deal with. But my mobility is a little bit better, at least relative to the speed of their bullets. Like, I can actually sort of react to bullets and move out of their way. Not well, but kind of. I still, like, pretty much would consider attempting to kill enemies a waste of time. And this weapon only fires like multi-directional projectiles forward. But yeah, look at my health. Like if I made it this far in the CPC version, I would usually have about 10% health left. So whether I'm getting hit less or I'm taking less damage or whatever it is, this version is not quite as barbaric. Oh yeah, you can't go further up than that. Okay, there's a health refill. Yeah, this seems perfectly doable. At least somewhat. I'm firing bullets from off screen though. Yeah, see, I can like sort of finagle my way around where the bullets go in a way that I just cannot. Okay, just screw the torpedo thing. Just. The funny thing is too, like, it was like that in the Amiga version as well. Like when you shoot projectiles, I think the other bosses like immediately. Like you shoot bullets in multiple directions, and if your bullets hit, like if your bullets don't hit anything, they eventually just despawn, right? But if your bullets do hit, they trigger an explosion. And the explosion kind of occupies the same sprite, or the sort of slot, or whatever you want to call it, as the bullet itself. So you're prevented from spawning new bullets. Okay, I guess we did. We beat the game. We did it. First try. Yeah, pretty similar. This is more similar to the Commodore 64 version than the Spectrum or the Amstrad one. Sure. Anyway, yeah, what I was trying to say is like you shoot a bullet and you have this kind of regular rate of fire. You can shoot bullets till they go off screen. But when you hit something with a bullet, the explosion animation, when the bullet impact, has this like really slow and like labored animation during which you cannot fire new projectiles. Or you can fire projectiles, but in the instance of having like a multi-direction shot, you shoot forward, left, and right. If your right hand bullets connect with something and explode, you can't fire new bullets to the right until that animation finishes. And in some cases, that animation can be so slow that if you're, especially in the underwater stage, you can like shoot to the right, and while those bullets are busy exploding, you position yourself in front of your enemy and use your reverse bullets, and while they explode, you kind of move back to shoot your side bullets. It's really weird. And I guess it does the same thing here too. Anyway, we did it. We beat this completely legitimately, no trainers or anything. But it's a good thing we had played the Amiga version before to learn a lot of the strats and how everything worked. It would have been pretty impossible otherwise. Now keep in mind, This is easier than the Amiga version, and it's also half as long. The Amiga version has the much cooler stages that are missing here, but hey, we did it. We played 4 different versions, and we legitimately completed 2 of them. And hey, that's it's a better track record than I think I would have expected. I guess we should game over just to see what that looks like. In the Commodore 64 version, you at least get a nice little mission complete. Here, we just, the only feedback we get from our superiors is when we, you know, drive in the grass and we're told, bad show. Pretty funny that you can just run over people in this game also, by the way. You get your 50-point deduction. Bad show, James. Game over. 50% strike rate on 80s UK designed computer games is a win. Exactly. That's that's what I'm thinking. So that's why I'm more than happy with that. This version doesn't have you so far up the screen. You can go pretty far up the screen, or at least you can go pretty fast, faster than you could in the Amstrad one. But yeah, it's not quite like the Amiga version. We didn't play the DOS version, we didn't play the Atari ST versions. I feel reasonably safe in my assumption that they are more or less visually identical to the Amiga version, but they probably sound worse, they may run worse. I don't think we are necessarily missing out on those, you know, not playing those versions. I don't think they have anything really unique, interesting to offer. So I'm okay with skipping those. I would say we've been reasonably thorough. At least reasonably thorough enough for my standards. Yeah, I think all versions of the game has a decent version of this song, even if the Amiga one is the obvious superior one. But yeah, that concludes mission number 8. I feel good about, like, even if we have to use some trainers or cheats or whatever to get through some of these versions. Like, if I can complete a version of the game legitimately, then I don't feel bad about saying that we finished the game. Oh yeah, it doesn't loop. I think it was the same on the C64, oddly enough. Well, let's get some other jams going, and hopefully it doesn't explode the stream this time, like it did on Saturday. Some power drift jams. Anyway, thank you for your service, Ink Spectre. You enabled us to complete another version of The Spy Who Loved Me. Exit out of that. So there you go. Exhilarating chase sequences on land and beneath the sea involve Q's specially modified Lotus, souped up and armed to the teeth. But only after you buy all that shit from Q. If he lets you into his truck. He's a dastardly fella, that Q. This is the fastest paced and most exciting Bond thriller to date. You know, it's not too much of an exaggeration. Not a version besides the Atari ST that had the film's title song. This film has like a pretty whack theme song that isn't, like, the name of the song is not the name of the movie. Because we watched the movie, and I think all of us who watched it was like, oh yeah, I didn't remember this song at all. I haven't played the Atari ST version, but I cannot possibly imagine that it would have a unique track that is not in any other version. That would be quite surprising. But so far, only View to a Kill has featured music from the film in the game. License to Kill has a weird fake version of You Only Live Twice for its high score music. But it doesn't have the actual theme from License to Kill in it. Kind of funny. We've had some variations of the Bond theme, of course. It does play No, but it does it better on Atari. I guess maybe it does on the Amiga as well, but I wouldn't have recognized the song. I'm trying to recall if it had a different high score theme. If that's the case, then I guess the Atari ST version has something unique, which is remarkable. I mean, I have the game. We could try to boot it up and see. I mean, we might as well, right? Because I don't really have anything planned for tonight. There. See, I don't, again, have, this is not like super prepared or anything. Checked out the ST version, pretty much the Amiga, but less slowdown. Yeah, that's the thing, like, I guess from my very limited experience with ST, like usually it's kind of a lesser version of the Amiga version. But sometimes you have games that I guess were developed for the ST first, or like as lead platform, and they had kind of awkward Amiga conversions that ran worse, or in some cases even looked worse. But the opposite is more likely true. And I guess it, like, the thing is, from my experience too, it seems unusual to have Atari ST games that take like unique advantage of whatever hardware capabilities were in the ST. Like, you'd find games that were seemingly, like, obviously there were Amiga games that didn't look or run as good on anything else, but often you would have games kind of built for the lowest common denominator, or so it would seem. Let's see if we can boot it up though. Like, I'm curious, even if it's the exact same and this was even in the Amiga version, I'd be curious just to boot it up and see if I recognize it. Second. This is a bit of a mess. Let's see. Yeah, that's the thing, KB. That's kind of what I was thinking. Like, I'll take your word for it, Dr. No, but I would not have recognized it at all. I think. Oh yeah, I don't know if I have control set up, but anything about Atari ST. There's some numbers flashing, so maybe it's loading. Oh, okay. Trainer. Maybe we needed to get to the high score. We'll see. Oh, dude, I missed this. Yeah, I just realized that when I skipped the trainer thing, Dr. No, that like, oh yeah, you need to actually get a high score. Yeah, this already doesn't sound as good as the Amiga, but if you didn't catch the previous stream, get to at least enjoy this. Like, it's so absurdly more elaborate than the 8-bit versions. Or, I mean, you'd obviously expect higher end versions to be more elaborate. But even by Amiga standards, it's pretty elaborate. Like the VHS tracking thing in the intro. I guess it's an emulator thing, but it certainly is loading pretty slow. Yeah, but you can, I mean, you look at this, you definitely recognize it from the Spectrum version. Has the same ending. Actually, KB, you can help shed some light on something then. What happens after the ending artwork? Like, does the game loop, or do you go back to the title screen, or what happens? Because when I beat the game on the Amiga, it crashed. We got a Guru meditation at the end of the ending. I'm assuming there isn't anything after it, but I was just curious. Do I have... Okay, I pressed the button and it seemed to respond. It appears that maybe we have some controls set up here. One in the high score. Okay, that's what I figured, but... I like that the text scroll starts slowing down. Like when enough text makes it on screen, it starts chugging. Oh wow. Engine noises. Okay. Pressing up. Having limited success here. Okay. Oh. Wait, what the... I can only go up left. I can't go up... Wait. Hell, I think my controls are extremely messed up. If I press left, I go up left. What on earth is going on here? I have a feeling we're not going to get any high scores. I don't even know what the controls are in this emulator. Oh, okay, that was a guess. I'm gonna do this. Okay, using Joy to key, it works much better. Feels so strange after the other versions. Little pedestrians who run off street. Yeah, it's so funny when you hit them. They do like flips and then they land in the bloody pile in the street. Luckily, we know the game well enough to hopefully do decently to get a high score. But I probably won't do it quite more than once. I would assume that it's the same in the Amiga version, and I just would not have recognized the music. But technically, the audio is not the same in this version, so it would, you know, strictly count as unique content. All right, cop just running over people. That's fine. We're innocent. Pretty satisfying. Close. We can see if we can manage to get to the high score table. See what that sounds like. Whoa! Did you see my armor? It definitely drains faster in the 16-bit version, that's for sure. But hey, If we die, at least we got collect a bunch of extra Q tokens and just get points. It's pretty hilarious that you get 50. You got a deduction of 50 points for running over and killing a pedestrian. Ooh, we made it. Okay. When you make like 34,000 to get through the stage. Right, so here it's important to not waste any of our precious ammo, because we will keep it for the next stage. Although, we will also start the next stage with whatever armor we had left for the car, which is like a pixel and a half. So we're probably going to die instantly on the next stage anyway. Might as well get some extra points. Yeah, 16-bit grass. Bond's most lethal enemy. Yeah, 500 points also when you've got like 43,000. There's a jump here. There isn't. I got... The one time I was like, I'm gonna get the jump this time. Because there's a part where you can jump. I should have looked at the map. I forgot that we have a map now. Because I think that's the part where the map says that there's a jump. But there isn't. I think there's a jump up here to the left. Yeah. And there's like nothing of the sort on the map. Like the map is just flat out wrong. Yeah, actually this is when I shouldn't be wasteful of ammo, because now I have full health in the car. Oh, whatever. Yeah, you look on the map. That definitely looks like a jump, right? There's a big red square on the far left, but nope. How they get you, yeah. Bet it's Q who just gave Bond bad intel. That's a joke. So tired of Bond's shit, which I don't know if I can blame him. He did not realize the jump was coming up there. I was trying to correct. Well, we're not trying to beat the game. Hopefully, it's gonna give us enough points to get a high score. We'll see. It's been a while since I did this stage so poorly. I noticed that if you shoot him with the missiles, you get the 500 points. But if you like crash them into something, you don't. Or at least like the number doesn't show on screen. I don't know if it actually means you don't get the points. I mean, I don't know that you would ever really know the difference anyway. Alright, that's pretty funny. He drove into the ramp and just exploded. 70... Oh my god. I was gonna say 75,000, which I almost cleared. Should be enough to get on the board. What? I had 74,000. Did I need 750,000? Did I totally misread that? I'm so confused. Well, we did get to hear about 2 seconds of it, and I think I sort of kind of recognized it now that I knew how to listen for it. Yeah, now I'm unsure too. I feel like, would I have recognized it in the Amiga version? But I'm actually not sure. Like, I feel like I would have reacted to it having any other music. Because Live and Let Die and License to Kill, I think both had like a different track for the high score table, or at least the name entry. That's pretty cool, like actual unique music. Yeah, you see what this yeah, actually we should stick around for the Operation Wolf stages in the attract mode. They're pretty sick. So if you didn't see the Amiga version when we played it last time, got some cool shit coming up. kind of forgot about that, but yeah, in this version, yeah, so this enemy type is not in the 8-bit versions, but the actual scuba guys, they just fire straight in a straight line. Not like the 8-bit version where they shoot homing shots. Yeah, you can kind of see what I was talking about before too. Like, whenever bullets in a certain direction keep hitting the enemy, as long as those explosion sprites are on screen, he can't fire new bullets in that direction. It's pretty silly. All things considered, though, I think the 8-bit versions are pretty impressive at how close they actually get. Yeah, I needed 750. Holy crap. Yeah, I thought I needed 75,000. No. I needed 150,000 to get on the high score table. I mean, that would, I would think, be perfectly doable if you actually have a good run. But yeah, come to think of it, I think I ended up in like 5th place after beating the game or something. The attract mode is not looping yet, right? By the way, like it's gonna show us, yeah, more additional credits for each sort of loop, and then it's gonna show us more different stages. Scene 3. 2 days, yeah. This is not the 3rd level, by the way. No, never mind. This is the 3rd level. The numbering gets a little confused. It says that scene 2 is the underwater stage when it's... Well, technically it's scene 2, but it's part... Whatever. This stage is so fucking cool. The animation's insane. So the guys in the tracksuits on the top floor... That's James Bond, by the way, sitting on the orb. If the tracksuit guys catch up with Bond, you can even see they're brandishing knives. They just run up to Bond and stab him, which kills him instantly. But yeah, you have to be really careful with ammo management. And on the second loop especially, you have to do, like, you have to almost be perfect. You collect all the little ammo drops. That's probably my favorite stage. It's so sick. Stage 4 is the code, like nuclear missile redirection stage, which they don't show in the attract mode. That's cool because it's just so unique. Like, it's such an interesting idea to take that and build basically a level around it. But it reminds me a lot of Batman. The Ocean Batman game, which has one stage where you're in the Batcave and you have to basically play a game of Mastermind to figure out the Smilex formula. Yeah, so scene 4 is the password cracking stage. Scene 5 is the jet ski level. To race back to Atlantis. Okay, that's pretty cool. Good demo. Just collide with the sprite of the ship you're leaving. Okay, cool. That's fine. We're moving on to the final stage more quickly. That one's really, really cool too. But I think I prefer, like, because the final stage is like the final showdown with Stromberg and Jaws. And you have to shoot these dudes that pop out from the, like, doorways. And every now and then, Jaws will show up, like, close to the camera. You have to shoot him in the face a couple of times for him to disappear. And then, after a while, Stromberg shows up, and he's holding Anya, like, in front of him. So you have to be really careful and shoot him without hitting her. And then after you kill Stromberg, she's still, like, just standing there while there's more dudes to shoot. And you can kill her, which I was surprised and confused by. Not exactly that you can do it, but that I managed to do it because I didn't shoot anywhere near her, but she just fell over. I was like, that was weird. And then the game gave me, like, a bad ending. But the game looped, so we continued on a second loop. And I was very careful not to shoot her on the second loop, and we got the good ending. But yeah, even the, like the sprites when you shoot them, like the poses, like the blood sprays, like it's so sick. Oh, there's Jaws. Ugh. This is really cool. Yeah, bad show, James. Just getting killed in the demo. Well, we got to hear 2 seconds rather of the unique high score song. I'm glad we did that. Thanks for pointing that out. Even if we didn't quite get the full experience, but yeah, I need to put some effort towards gathering more Bond game music to flesh out a quality music playlist. More Bond music. Original game soundtrack album not available on records, cassettes, or compact discs. Yeah, I guess I should not overlook the Atari ST soundtrack to this and see if I can find it. I guess, Dr. No, you mentioned you had the MP3. If you're on the Discord, feel free to dump it there. But I reckon I could probably find it otherwise. Yeah, this is 1990. 1990. Very timely adaptation of a 1977 film. It's kind of funny. There's a bunch of these Bond, you know. Of course, in 1990, there was no new Bond film. There wouldn't be one for a while, because there were no films between License to Kill in 89 and GoldenEye in 95. But even before then, you know, there was Live and Let Die. And the earlier 80s games were like based on, I mean, there's Goldfinger. Like throughout the 80s and into the 90s, Bond games were like a mix of current film adaptations, a mishmash of older movies or just generic Bond stuff, and adaptations of specific older films. And we even got at least one more of those with From Russia with Love. And actually, if you think about it, there is a sort of kind of remake of GoldenEye, right? Which it essentially is billed as like just a new adaptation of the film, even though it's obviously heavily inspired by the first game. And that was like 2010, 2011 or something. In fact, GoldenEye might have been older when that was made than this film was when this game came out. Yeah, the ST version seems good, for sure. You're probably right about the weird, like, bullet spawning stuff. Very, very cool game, though. The art is incredible. So many cool little touches. And, just, yeah. Good times, good times. However, I think for the, third time, I'm willing to say we're done. We're done with The Spy Who Loved Me. Not gonna drag this out any further. So why don't we take a brief look here at what is ahead. Shut this down. And get some other music going here. What do we got? Rolling Thunder music. That's good. It's almost like Bond. Unsaved data. Yeah. We'll be okay, I think. The Spy Who Loved Me has been completed. And next up, but not immediately, will be a game that I think some people have been quite looking forward to, eager to see, excited for, fearful of. I don't know. Personally, I think it's a little bit of all of the above. Yeah, James Bond will return in the stealth affair. As British super agent James Bond, just back from holiday in Kuwait, you will find yourself plunged headlong into the world of international espionage, sent across the globe in an attempt to find the missing super secret stealth bomber. The list of suspects include a Latin American dictator, the Russian KGB, and possibly organized crime. Originally released in Europe as Operation Stealth in 1989, Interplay rebranded the game with the 007 license for the US market in 1990. Looking forward to it. Dodgy stealth sections and soft locks included. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I played this briefly as a kid. My only memory of it is not being able to get anywhere in it, but that was also, I think, largely what my point-and-click adventure game experience was, to a reasonable extent. Like, I enjoyed a lot of those Sierra games, but me and the friend of mine who I used to play them with, like, I don't think we ever really did very well in most of them. So I don't know that this stood out exactly, but having seen tiny bits and pieces of it, I think the artistic qualities are really, I mean, I think it's going to be a pretty big step up from most of what we've seen so far. And it's, like, not only is it just, like, kind of quality pixel art, like, Delphine Software definitely had a good eye for that kind of cinematic flair, and, like, the presentation in their game, in their games was always immaculate. And I always enjoyed what I've seen of their games. I think Flashback is, like, maybe the only game of theirs that I've really played a lot and really enjoyed. But I think as far as their adventure games go, I don't think they have the greatest of reputations. I think they are well sort of respected for their artistic aspects. And I think back in the day, I wasn't like, I played this game, but it was a little bit later, and I never heard of or saw. What was the one that came before this? Future War? Is that what it's called? It's like the sci-fi one. But Cruise for a Corpse, was that one? That was Delphine as well, wasn't it? That's the one I remember, like, seeming really, really cool. But I feel like whenever I've seen anything about that game or Future Wars in, like, more modern times, I would say that, like, the aesthetic and artistic aspects are, like, grossly overshadowed by the kind of flawed game design. Everyone tends to always bring up the fact that it's, like, I couldn't even tell you the specifics, but just that they're really hard and really frustrating and really just, like, not very friendly to the player. Yeah, Cruise for a Corpse, I was gonna say, because I always get that game sort of mixed up with The Last Express is what it's called, right? The Jordan Mechner train game. Because they have kind of, like, they're both kind of period piece adventure games with, like, murder mystery time shenanigans. But I guess Cruise for a Corpse also has, like, it reminds me a little bit of Alone in the Dark, because I think it also has, like, a similar kind of period vibe to it. Just got that kind of mysterious feel to, I don't know, that game always just seemed super cool, but I don't know that I'd actually enjoy playing it. Yeah, I never played Last Express either. It always looks super cool. But yes, as mentioned, it is an adventure game, so you, like, nothing should prevent us from eventually getting our way through the stealth affair. And I won't be precious about not getting any hints. Like, I'm happy with backseating to a degree if it, like, makes for a smoother experience. The purpose of James Bond isn't for me to prove my gamer superiority by completing games. It's about, as a community, discovering the deep, dark, and dank depths of what this license has offered throughout history. And I think, some people are very patient. They're driven to try to complete these near insurmountable challenges on their own. That's not really my thing. I don't think it makes for a better streaming experience for you guys. I don't think it makes for a better playing experience for me to be like that diligent about not ever taking any hints or anything. That's not to say I'm going to open up a walkthrough and just use that to play it. And how exactly we're going to go about it remains to be seen. I reckon probably we'll do something similar to when we play the text adventures, where if I feel stuck, I'll ask for a hint maybe, or, take suggestions from chat or what have you. But yeah, I feel confident that, like, push comes to shove, I can get a walkthrough, and presumably there's not going to be any kind of reaction or skill-based elements that are going to make it, that are going to put up a complete wall. So it should be fun. It should be a nice change of pace at the very least. Well, Another World was Eric Shahi's game, which was, I guess, was it published by Delphi? I don't know. I remember there's always like a lot of confusion and people seeing Flashback as like the sequel to Another World, but of course they're completely unrelated. But Another World is an absolute masterpiece. Like, I wouldn't even say it was before its time. I mean, I'm not arguing, but it's not like, what I mean by that is that it's like, well, it's not like other stuff caught up to it. Like, it's so singularly unique. Of course, there's the Heart of the Alien, there's Heart of Darkness, there's other stuff like it, but there's nothing quite like it either. I think Another World is just fully, like, absolute legendary, timeless masterpiece status. It's an amazing game. Such a cool experience. It has some quirky, puzzly type things, but it doesn't have a billion soft locks, at least. As far as Shaq Fu goes, I think that's a pretty maligned game. It's got a lot of, like, it's terrible as far as like a competitive fighting game goes, but it's got some incredible art and animation. As a single player game, like the campaign story mode with the hidden fights and the bonus stuff, like it's got a lot of cool ideas in it. It's just not, like, clearly the people who made it didn't know fighting games, which honestly true for many fighting games over the years. I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to say that I think it's a great game, but I think it's approach it on like the right wavelength, and you can absolutely have a great time with it. And its reputation as like the worst game ever is absurdly overstated. But sure, I mean, I wouldn't say it was a step up from Flashback exactly. But yeah, so the Stealth Affair, it was originally released as Operation Stealth, and that's the version I played as a kid. But even playing it then, it was like you were kind of pretending that it was a Bond game. It was, I mean, it's like a Bond pastiche, like completely unabashedly. So, you know, it's kind of similar to the Dynamite Deca Die Hard arcade sort of thing, where it's like, we get the license on it, sure, why not? But you know, that's all the excuse I need to play this game for this marathon. I mean, it was officially released with the James Bond license. It would feel strange to skip over it. It would make the game list feel pretty incomplete. And I mean, there's only 50 of them. We need as many games on there as we can get. Which, by the way, you can help me with by contributing to the Q Branch Research Fund. You can help us break through and develop the technology necessary to unlock additional secret missions. that didn't quite make the cut to the original game list for one reason or another. But we have a second chance for them through this initiative. We're getting pretty close to the first goal. I'm pretty excited for that. But yeah, next time we reconvene for some Games Bond action, we will be doing some French adventuring. My plan, having not done a tremendous amount of research, is to play the Amiga version. I reckon it's going to have some load times and some delays and be slow and clunky compared to what you maybe could get with the DOS version. But it has some, at least the opening has some pretty sick jams. Which I cannot imagine the DOS version recreating. I don't think it has like Roland MT32 support, but even if it did, I don't know, man. The Amiga version seems pretty sick. Maybe the Atari ST version runs better. I don't know. But my plan is to play the Amiga version. Maybe I'll have time to do a little bit of research to see if there's reasons to go about it in a different way. We'll see. However, this will not be the next game that's happening on stream. Amiga version, probably the best one. Yeah, that would be my guess. That would be my guess. Actually, let's hop on back here.
Kakumega Shock, Neo Geo!
Need I remind you, 007, that you have a license to kill, not to break the traffic laws?
Right. That would explain why it's reasonably okay for Bond to drive over pedestrians. Because technically that's probably violating traffic laws, right? But it is also killing, and he does have a license to do so. So, you know, just deduct 50 points and we'll call it even. I think that makes perfect sense. Thank you very much for those 100 megabits, Lamisar. Appreciate it. License to manslaughter, exactly. Let's play the game 16 colors with computer, yeah, PC speaker. Yeah, for the full immersion. What's the most expensive Bond game? Probably Pinball Table. I mean, well, none of the ones I bought, I'll tell you that. I bought a good bunch of the more recent ones to play, like the PS3 and 360 ones and whatnot. And I would not have done so if they were expensive, I'll tell you that. And yeah, modern pinball tables, also not on the list, but they'll probably be up there. Anyway, the reason I wanted to hop on over to this scene wasn't just to get comfy with Christmas lights and everything here. No, I wanted to take another opportunity to advertise, to shill a little bit, for those of you who may have missed it earlier when we started the stream. We're getting close to Christmas, and as is tradition, as has become tradition in the past few years, I will be streaming on Christmas Eve. I'll be preparing some delicious food that I will be eating partially on stream. But as far as other Christmas celebrations, playing games on the internet, pretty much it. Although we will be doing much more than just playing games. We will, in fact, be doing a whole slew of different things. We will be celebrating in style with a beat-em-up themed Christmas stream special. We will be playing beat-em-up video games of some fashion. I will be doing some drawing in accordance with the theme. I will be unboxing several Christmas presents that Santa has been nice enough to deliver over the past few weeks. A few more hopefully arriving before Saturday. We'll see. We will be watching thematically appropriate cartoons together, and we will be reading some comic books together. Maybe one I'm the most excited for. I will be eating and show and telling a little bit, I guess, my mostly traditional Swedish Christmas dinner. Will there be traditional Swedish spirits? Probably not. Not really something I typically indulge in. I'm sure there will be some seasonally appropriate beverages, though. We'll see what we can. We'll see what we can arrange. Most importantly, there will of course be all-around chill vibes. I'm looking forward to spending Saturday chilling here in my computer chair, playing games, watching cartoons, eating food, and just having a good time. And if you, like me, have nothing better to do on Christmas Eve, I would greatly appreciate it if you wanted to hang out. If you have plans, of course, no hard feelings. I guess I should also add, not that it makes any difference, but the 24th is the traditional day of celebrating Christmas here in Sweden. So at least that means maybe some of you guys have have plans for the 25th, but maybe the 24th is just a chill day of doing nothing. And if it is, you're more than welcome to do nothing in my chat room. I will be starting the stream as scheduled normally from 1 p.m. Central European Time. The plan anyway. And I'll try to go for longer than usual. Whenever I do these holiday special streams, I usually try to go for 12-ish hours or so. Plus or minus, you know, a little bit. So something like that. I'll see if I can fine-tune the schedule over the coming week. Maybe, I don't know, figure out an actual schedule. But these are all the different events and activities I have planned. I just need to plan them a little bit better by then, but I'll figure it out. As such, I didn't think it appropriate to try and start a new Bond game right before this, because I don't know if I will, I'm not sure if I will be streaming regularly in the week after Christmas. I might be doing some things on some days, and I might just want to take a little bit of time off. I might dive right back into Bond, I'm not sure, but I think trying to squeeze something into the, just now right before it didn't seem like a good idea. So if I stream on Wednesday, we'll probably do something completely different. Maybe more Mega Drive Mini stuff. Maybe I'll finally get around to checking out River City Girls 2. Although, again, I'd probably rather do that when I can do it a little more focused. We'll see. It is also not entirely outside the realm of possibility that I will not be streaming on Wednesday at all. If it turns out that some of the things I need to prepare, or just if I'm overworked or whatever, it's always possible that I might decide to just skip streaming on Wednesday. But if that ends up being the case, I will of course inform you guys, announce that ahead of time as well as I can. So keep an eye on Twitter and Discord for any updates. But we'll see. For now, I'm not specifically planning not to stream. So hopefully I'll be back on Wednesday with something. We'll see. Celebrating Italy and Spain on the 24th as well. Big dinner. Open presents at midnight. That's pretty good. Sounds pretty good. Yeah, we'll see what the schedule is going to look like. Again, I'll have to workshop it a little bit, but it should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Anytime I've done streams like these in the past couple of years, it's always been a good time, and I expect this Christmas to be no different. So if you are so inclined, I hope to see you there on Saturday. See you here, I guess. And we'll see if there's going to be another stream in between now and then on Wednesday. But this is going to be where we wrap up for tonight. Let me see if I can just figure out who else is streaming so we can go on a little raid. We're wrapping up a little early tonight, but I figured we should celebrate the fact that we are extremely done with The Spy Who Loved Me, and not force anything. All right, let's see. A bunch of people streaming as usual. Someone that I didn't raid in a little bit is the question. Going on. Retro Pals is streaming Bible games on CDI. That seems pretty strong. It's a very powerful combination of words there. Bible games and CDI. Hope you guys are as excited for that as I am. Let's go say hi to the Retro Pals and boost our faith stat by indulging in Bible games on CDI. Thank you very much for hanging out, guys, and I'll see you guys around.